Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my road dog, my teammate, boss. You want to? Are we past the point of introducing ourselves, or
They should know what's this is Foster Child, the other half of Post Game Podcast. We here.
how's your Friday going, man?
I'm a little under the weather, not terribly sick, but other than that, it's Friday, man. You gotta find some way to keep it rolling.
What's going on, Gabe? How you doing, sir? Are the Pistons making you sick? Gotta
Boy,
ask.
mentally, mentally, I'm torn down, but
We're only 6 games in, Foss.
yeah,
You can't have mental breakdowns 6 games in.
yeah, yeah. To be honest, yeah, that's more whatever. But it's more taxing than anything. It's just the fan base just exploding, But yeah, definitely some things to talk about. There's definitely some things to talk about.
Well, you interact with a lot of groups and stuff like that. So you and then you're saying you're part on Facebook. So that's another struggle in itself because around these parts there's a lot of people that root for other teams, and it has a lot to do with the Pistons not doing well in a long time. So
Yeah,
those people are cheering for Lakers, and you have your San Antonio. Well, it's a couple San Antonio, not a bunch, but you run into these other fans, Golden State fans out the wazoo around here,
yeah.
who I interact with. So I know you interact with them as well. So, and I think it just one of the tales of the tape is Pistons haven't been doing well in a long time, and they haven't been consistently well. So whenever you cheer for the Pistons, it's going to be somebody or make a statement. It's going to be, "Oh, you guys are trash. This, that, another, da da da." But it's quite a few teams that are struggling early though. So it's not just us.
It's even the actual Pistons fans that are just that are fed up, and and I understand it, but yeah, it's not even so much the people that are fans of other teams because there's not much investment in what they're talking about. It's the ones that really watch these games, and they not feeling it. But I get
Yeah,
it.
but and I also think it's still if the win-loss record right now was switched around, if we were 4-2 instead of 2-4, I would still say it's early.
Yeah. Either way. But you see when we won those 2 games in a row, everybody was like playing playoffs, champion. Nah, not really. But it flip flopped fast. That was just last show.
Hey, it's a what have you done for me lately type of thing.
This
You're
week,
only as good
today,
as your
like
last game. It's just ah. So the reason why there's a change in attitude is because of the last couple games. We dropped the last couple of games. I think it was has it been 3 in a row that we've dropped?
yeah,
Let me see here.
you were 2-1, and
Beat the
then now
Bulls, lost to OKC, lost to Portland, and then lost to the Pelicans. So 3 games in a row.
Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all in the last 4 days.
Yeah,
Friday.
and the thing is, you said it was gonna be a rough stretch.
Yeah,
because
I did
of
say that.
the caliber of opponent and everything to do with back to backs because there were so many games, and you said it was going to be a gauntlet going forward. Uh, if you pay attention to the title of this, it's like what's going on, right? And what me and Foster is going to get into is everything. What's happened the last couple of games, last few games, along with so far with the season. So uh, recently, what the games we haven't uh, we've dropped 3 in a row, right?
Yeah.
The first game we dropped was versus OKC. Now,
Mhm,
going into that game, I knew OKC would be a problem for us,
mhm.
and they create a lot of turnovers. We turn the ball over a lot. You know, they they have several s- solid scores. We haven't had too many proven scores, consistent scores on the floor. We knew that game would be a tough game. Uh, if you asked me and Foster who wins that game, we probably would have told you we'll have to edge it to OKC without even seeing the game. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the next game they played was versus Portland, and this game frustrated me because at one point the Pistons were up 18 points, and they just imploded after halftime. It was a horrid third quarter, and the fourth quarter wasn't that much better. So, uh, Portland's a young team just like ours. Uh, we have just as many weapons as they do, and we were winning pretty much most of the game until the end of the third. I think they took the lead in the fourth and never looked back. And that game was disheartening. That game really, really was frustrating because if you're watching that game, you're knowing the next night you have the New Orleans Pelicans. And that team is stacked. And they set down 2 of their best players and they're still stacked.
Yeah.
And with it being in the back up to back game, we knew it was going to be you have to win that game versus you got to win that middle game versus Portland. You just got to. You can't drop that game because you know you have you dropped versus the Thunder. You have a young team in Portland at home that's struggling and that you're capable of beating, and you drop that game. Then you have to go to New Orleans right after that. It's tough. It's tough. So let's just break this thing down, Foster. What are you seeing, especially with the last 3 games, that is the state or the issue going with this team?
Well, going into the year, I knew to me, I felt like we had a I felt like we had a very deep team. Um, what the one issue with that is that we've definitely had a lot of injuries in the past few games, and I feel like I want to say I'm not ready to panic too much because I definitely want to see a full strength team. I feel like that can't be. I feel like injuries can't be. We can't hang our hat on the fact that we have all these injuries too much. But the fact that on top of the Morris, Bogdanovich, and Livers injuries, I feel like Duran and Burks also being hurt the last 2 games. This is like we don't have a chance. Like now, we're getting just too deep in the rotation. We're just getting too deep in the rotation. Bagley starting. Wiseman was in foul trouble. He had 4 fouls in 5 minutes. I honestly think the combination of the fact that we're getting much deeper into our bench, and the fact that our schedule is kind of wild, like I feel like that's definitely played a factor in some of our issues. I mean, just when you just look at the polar opposites that were the 2 weeks from last week, I think that you kind of have to attest it to the fact that these guys probably are a little tired, and I feel like Monty Williams is still trying to figure out what he has here. And he truly won't know that until everybody comes back and plays. But I feel like the minute he did get an opportunity to figure out what we had, Burks gets hurt. Like Burks has been our best shooter thus far. Duren has been a monster inside, and now they're sitting. So we're down to the a team that already lacked defensive versatility is that much more depleted there. So um I don't know. It's it's frustrating, but um I mean, you gotta look at it for what it is. The only game that really bugged me, I mean, OKC game, we knew that they were going to be a matchup nightmare. I mean, Chet
For
was
sure.
4 or 5 from 3. He had Durant out there on an island, and then SG. We knew that was going to be a tough game. Same thing with the Pelicans. Zion and Bi or not. I the back-to-back game, having to travel down to New Orleans, I'm like, I didn't have a good feeling about the game. If As long as
Mhm.
somebody played over there. So, but the Blazers game was the one that it
Ugh,
was just, Grant just went crazy on us. Shaden Sharp was out there, basically saying like, "Hey, y'all should have drafted me. I'd be
yeah,
sitting on the bench. Well, I'm about to show y'all what it is." Um,
yeah.
Killian had 0 points. 0 points. That's it. He's playing crazy minute. He's playing crazy amounts of minutes right now, and his consistency is just not there. Um, Cade was missing layups down the stretch. It's just like
Mm.
what? Like this week could not have been any worse, to be honest.
You
Um,
you triggered me, Foster, and you triggered me a little while ago. I've been waiting to say something. You
yeah,
mentioned Wiseman. At this point, we did not give Wiseman a set of buffs, and it doesn't look like he's going to earn his buff. I mean, when he did play, and mind you, uh, we're talking about um, the Portland game. Am I correct? Where Duran didn't play. Duran didn't play versus Portland, and Wiseman had a chance to show that he belongs. Instead, he showed us why he's why Bagley's playing ahead of him, why Stewart's playing ahead of him, and it's just it was his contribution was little to nothing. I mean, did he have any points?
he had 4 points, and honestly, he was. I feel like he was. If he hadn't, and I don't want to touch too much on the foul thing because that's just something. It's been a heavily critique thing thus far, but it's something that we just can't control. I don't. There's nothing we can do about the fact that the refs are a little ticky tackier or a lot of ticky tackier on us. I mean, what can we do about that? Aside from bomb them on social media. So, but yeah, I think because one of the fouls was like a moving screen, and a couple of them were just like, like I feel like we just are gonna have to win some games to earn that respect. I feel like the refs are just like they're not gonna bail us out. They're not gonna cut us any breaks. We are going to have to fight through the fact that for lack of a better term, they kind of up against us right now. Pause. Like they're not gonna cut us any slack.
No. No, gonna read a couple comments, from Gabe. "We're putting too much on Cade's shoulders. He's not Luka." Uh,
Definitely not Luca.
I told Foster, right before the season starts, or it was, like, right in the beginning of the season, Cade plays a lot better when he doesn't have to do everything.
Yeah.
So, uh, so I agree with that, Gabe, for sure. Ivy needs more minutes. He's the only creator right now, especially with Burks out. The offense has been awful. The
Yeah.
offense has been awful, but I'm a if there's a silver lining in these last 3 games is last night they were totally getting blown out, but they fought back. And they keep they scrapping. There was a point where they were down 23. I think they were down 23 at half, 72 to 49. And that was the halftime score. And me and Foster has talked about 20-point halves, right? How frustrating you can't give up a 70-point half. You know,
Oh,
uh,
that's
you can give up 70 points and a half, but you better be very close to having 70 points yourself. So, uh, but that's never the case. It's always the other team scores 70, the Pistons are in the 50s. So, uh, you
50s ain't
can't
so
give
bad
up.
when unless you're giving up 70.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what makes it even worse. If you're not scoring, if you're not having a shootout, can't give up 70 points. And then you look at the end of the game, at one point in the 3rd quarter, or it might have even been in the 4th quarter. I think it was the 4th quarter. They cut the lead down to 11 and then cut it all the way down. I think it got down to 9 at one point, and it just seemed like they couldn't get over the hump from that point. It would go up to 11, it would go up to 12, 15, Pistons cut it right back down, but by then it was a little too much, too little, too late, and, you can't play from behind versus a very, skilled offensive team like that because they're gonna convert. They are gonna convert. We have trouble scoring in spurts, and, uh, we're not in a position to, to allow a team to get a big lead on us and then have to claw back and fight and expect to win. Uh, got another comment from Aaron S. I love Cade, but he shot us out of winning the past 2 games in the 4th quarter. He's had a horrible 4th quarter the past 2 games. I agree with that, Aaron. Aaron also says, hard to complete a comeback with missed shots and turnovers like that.
Hmm.
Aaron, you just triggered me again. I'm just
Yeah.
the turnovers, the turnovers. They have to they gotta get a grip on the turnovers. Like, my goodness. Like, and Cage turning it over. It's not just the the role players. Cade is throwing bad passes that are intercepted. It's, ah,
What
it's
I
just
will say is that the when you look at the turnover leaders, it, it's just it's just basic math that the guy that has the ball the most, like even like your your Lucas and your
yeah. They
they
handle the
tend
ball
to
the
lead
most.
they handle the most and they tend to turn it over the most, but you gotta you gotta drop 30 and 40, to make to make up for it
Mhm.
when it's all
Yeah.
said and done. And yeah, it's just yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the solution to that is besides repetition and getting more comfortable.
Well, hold that thought, Foster. We're gonna go into some our listeners will be able to check out some wonderful ads, and we'll be back on the other side. Quit turning the ball over. Cut it out.
Yeah.
That would help. That would keep you in a lot of games if you're not it's just a bad recipe for offense. If you're turning the ball, if you're not a great shooting team and you're turning the ball over. So you're squandering offensive possessions and you're not scoring on a great deal of your offensive possessions. And that's just a recipe for a disaster. And I'm going to read every comment because I appreciate everybody that's participating and checking us out. Aaron says, we saw how huge it was having Sasser next to K last game instead of unreliable Hayes. Start Ivy. Give any Hayes minutes to Sasser. I'm not going to argue with that. Like, I'm not going to argue. Sasser had a very good game last night. He had 19 points, 5 of 8 shooting from three. Uh, there's a reason why he was drafted. Um, when he was drafted, I knew exactly what they had. I said he's a pure point guard that can shoot it, that can he can he can he can drive. I thought it was a good pickup where the Pistons got him, and so I agree. I also agree that with Foster, he said mentioned earlier before, Killian's not at his best playing a bunch of minutes. Like he can spell for a few minutes, but when he's logging in a lot of minutes, that efficiency rate of his goes down. And maybe it might be a good idea to play Sasser more, to start with Ivy. I've been saying start Ivy from the jump, and then every time they start Ivy or he gets minutes, he kinda does some bad stuff that made me look crazy. I've been paying attention to it, Aaron. I'm telling you, I've been on the start Ivy gravy train since preseason. Uh, we need Burks back. Burks was that guy that was coming off the bench and was very reliable from outside. He was giving you that bucket that you needed. He was getting to the foul line as well. Um, and now we're starting to see Joe Harris get more minutes as well. Uh, can't really tell how effective he hits a couple of threes, but probably needs the rest. I don't know. Like I don't. There's. I would like to see everybody healthy and see what this team looks like. Not making any excuses, but I would love to see everyone healthy. Um, I'm just very, very worried when you have to sit Duran down. When you sit Duran down, that's a totally different looking team. Uh, the big man for New Orleans was giving Duran the business last night. He was, and my thing is when they were giving him the ball in the post, and he was getting his points, but when you have an athletic center, and I'm the head coach, I'm telling I got Wiseman, I got Bagley, I got Durant. I'm telling them to sprint down the floor every single time. I'm gonna wear that center out because he was tired. He played a back to back himself.
Right.
So I'm gonna send the three-head monster every time there's a defensive rebound or an outlet. Sprint down there, run him crazy. That's what I would do. But problem is, wasn't a lot of defensive stops. So
Yeah.
yeah, Aaron says the V man because I'm not about to try and pronounce his name.
Valenciunas.
Thanks, Foster. He has been destroying us for a decade. So sick of that guy. Yes. Uh, yes, he was a problem last night. He was giving Duran the business. He was giving Bagley the business. He was he was pretty impressive as far as from a center standpoint. Uh McCollum. Oh my goodness. He looked like he was in Portland again last night. I think he had 33. It's just he, yeah, when he gets going, that's a crazy team over there. And when he gets it going, uh, they didn't have Brandon Ingram or Zion, and they still looked far superior on the court than we
But they
did.
had Matt Ryan though.
Oh, he made me sick last night. He hit some
Six
threes.
for 8 from threes. Like,
He
whoa.
hit some threes last night, and I'm like, "Are you serious?"
Why did the Lakers get rid of him? That's exactly what they need.
There will be no promotion of Laker basketball on this show, Foster. I will cut these cameras off. I will shut this stuff down.
That was an
There will be
indictment on their
no
decision making.
there will be no Lakers talk on this show.
You're right.
None. Okay? They have a great fan base out there. They're doing their thing. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, back to the Pistons. Let me get back to so what I'm seeing here over the first 6 games, Pistons are 2-4. And the common theme is defense and turnovers, right? And spotty shooting. Now, I don't think you can just flip a switch on and have great shooting. You have what you have as far as scoring. That's what you see is probably what you're going to see all year long as far as an offensive standpoint. But one thing you can work on, one thing you can fix is defense. You can work on defense. You can work on not turning the ball over. That's got to be something that's because if you have spotty shooting and you're turning the ball over at a high clip, you're not going to score. Just not going to score. And there's certain times where you just can't, like they turn the ball over early. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? When you turn the ball over, it has to be like a shock, right? I'm getting used to the turnovers. That's not good.
Yeah.
Like, if you, like, I'm sitting here watching the game, and I'm like, turnover. Oh, here's a turnover. Turnover. Should have figured turnover. Turnover. Yes, turnover. It's bad enough that like violations are considered turnovers because you're going to get violations. You're going to get your travels. You're going to get your uh
Shot clock.
moving screens, uh, charges. Those happen, right? Those kind of get turnover, but bad passes and they're like horrible passes. Like I can see like don't I'm saying don't throw that over there. Don't no, you can't make that pass. And it's like, no. Some of this stuff is and I think a lot of it is we don't have a pure point guard that's playing a lot of minutes. And then on top of it, people that handle the ball most are going to turn the ball over a lot. They're going to turn the ball over the most. You're right, Foster. I agree with that. But you have to have a higher assist number than turnovers. If you can have a better assist to turnover ratio, you turn the ball over 4 times, you better have 8 assists. That's all I'm saying.
I think that's one of the reasons why Hayes has that favor over Ivy right now. One thing that I do notice, he is not a major threat offensively, but you look at his plus and minus numbers outside of the OKC game, he was plus 10
Mhm.
last night. Um, he for whatever reason, I mean, Hayes has always had high favor amongst coaches. He's always been one that's played a lot of minutes and really hasn't showed a ton offensively. But um, You look at Ivy's numbers on the other hand, his last 3 games, his plus minus is a combined negative 27. When he's on the court, it, it's fun to watch. It's exciting. He's been, playing better defense. He blocked. Who was that? I think McCullum. I think he blocked last night, and
Mhm.
it turned into a fast break. But it just it makes you wonder: is it contributing towards winning basketball as a whole? Because minus 27 is awful.
Yes.
Like that's you can't even really put that on the bench because everybody's numbers vary depending on who they're out there with. That, but plus 10. That's because Sasser was out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and read it out loud, Foster.
Oh
This is
yeah.
from
So
Aaron.
Aaron said plus 10, but that's because Sasser was out there at the same time and was hitting a bunch of threes. But I think he played pretty good defense. And I looked at some of the numbers in the second half, and it seemed like he was locking up who he was up against as well. So yeah, I mean the writing is on the wall for Sasser as well. He's definitely going to force his way into more minutes. Monty Williams definitely speaks high praises of him. And he kind of brings everything that we've been looking for. Uh, Playmaking, the ability to shoot. He's shooting over 50% from three, and he plays defense. I've seen him rip dudes up and take it the other way. So
Mhm.
he's definitely going to get some opportunities, especially while Burks is out. Um, but yeah, coaches. I mean, Hayes is obviously a coach's guy because he's never lacked minutes. They ain't never said, "Oh, just put Killian out there so he can develop." Killian gets his minutes. So I would love for him
I
to be more of a threat, but he just I don't know.
and I have to say this about the rookie, right? Although I I love I love the energy, I love the effort, but Oscar Thompson, don't you dare shoot 3 threes in a row being that off. 2 of them were air balls. One of them almost hit a fan in the front row, and it was they looked bad. His shot looked horrible last night. And one thing I will say, you he wasn't scared to shoot it, right? He wasn't scared to shoot it. He had missed 2 in a row. I think both of them were air balls. He wound up shooting 4 out of 5 trips in a row, where he
Yeah.
shot 4 threes and they weren't even close. And in that span, that one of those possession that was skipped, Cade shot a 3 and hit nothing but glass. It was like, are you guys lifting weights before the games? Like,
I think his legs. I think that he's been. You look at how hard he's been playing defensively. I really feel like he's exuded a lot of energy, and he's playing these back to backs. And I feel like because I don't know what OTE Elite schedule is like. I know they weren't playing 80 games a year.
mhm,
He definitely wasn't playing against NBA talent, but
no,
um, it's tough. It's tough for rookies. There's definitely an adjustment process. Yeah, because he looked very confident and they weren't bad. They were open shots. And he's made some threes early in the year, but yeah, I watched those highlights and those shots looked one
horrible.
of them didn't even hit the air balls. It's like, okay, you hit the net. One of them was like completely short of the rim. The one that hit the rim, like just barely grazed the rim. It's like,
Mhm.
it's not even like it looked crazy. It was
One
crazy.
one thing for sure though, like I hope, and I mentioned this to you earlier offline. I hope that someone like I hope that Osser watches that game on film because the only problems I have with him shooting and missing is they were early in the shot clock. Like
Mm.
he was the only one that touched the ball,
Right.
after the ball was past half court. Uh, if you swing the ball around a little bit and you shoot that shot a little deeper in the shot clock, I'm probably not gonna say anything, but for you to hurry up and fire it up like, "Okay, let's see if it works this time." No, no. Uh, there's not a good time to try to see if you can you were off last shot, let me try it again. No, no, you have to not that early in the shot clock. I think Alser can get a closer shot. I think with his passing ability, if you're off, you gotta get a couple of layups in. You gotta get a couple of easy baskets in, and it's
Got to see it go
okay
through
to
the
pass.
hoop.
Yeah, it's okay, but I do like his confidence. I don't want him like, we seen that with Killian his first year, where he was shooting, and then he got to the point to where he was just scared and like, "No, I ain't shooting." He was wide open, he was like, "No, I'm not gonna shoot it." And it just looked horrible, and I just wish I will hope Mr. Thompson watches that game or takes heed to that game and see what he can do to be better because those 3, 4 shots were just bad shots, and I don't have a problem with you missing shots. I got a problem with your shot selection, you know? You have all the ability to get, a better shot, um, and it's not like he's a center that can't dribble and get to a better spot. It's not like he, uh, can't pull up. Um, you have to get a better shot, especially if your shot's not falling. Like, after that first air ball, I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to make this I'm gonna get me a better shot." You know what I'm saying? And then it was from the same spot.
Yeah.
It's from the same spot. Like, you couldn't believe you missed it, but you were way off, like, way off. I don't
So
wanna
I'm look.
single him out because I like the kid, but,
Yeah, because we about to single out somebody else. So
uh-oh.
I'm looking at these Killian stats. And it's like you know he's not doing great, but you don't anticipate him look the numbers looking this bad. So he's averaging nearly 30 minutes, 29 minutes a game, which is the most he's averaged his entire career. I mean, he's always averaged somewhere in the 20s, but he's averaging 29 minutes a game. The
Mm.
glaring stats, we won't even get into how many points a game he scores. The glaring stats to me are 57% from the free throw line. Now, I don't know how many free
Ah.
throws he's taken, but when I look at the other year averages, he's averaged around 80%. So maybe it's bound to go back up and he hasn't taken many, but he's averaged 82, 77, 82, around 80%. He's from the field, not from three, from the field, 30%. That's
Mm.
layups, that's mid-range, that's threes, every dunks, 30%. And he's shooting 28% from three. That
Foster, I think
is
I can do that right now.
god
If you
awful.
put me in if you put me in a Pistons uniform, I can shoot 57% from the free throw line. You put me in a Pistons uniform, I can shoot 28% from the field. Foster, he there's no reason for that.
Can you imagine? It's like, I mean, it's a yes, he takes care of he's taking care of the ball. Yes, he's averaging 1.7 steals. Beautiful, amazing. But only a seventh overall pick could get the leeway in the amount of opportunities that he has got. Because it's like you want to find the silver lining and the positivity and all of it, but the reality is this does not slide if he's an undrafted free agent G leaguer. It just doesn't. It just wouldn't. It just wouldn't make sense. It only makes sense because he's probably one of the highest paid players on the team by default.
Right?
It's crazy. I mean, I don't. It's tough because as much as I want to be like, okay, I get where Monty Williams is coming from. something about him is intriguing, and he feels like he can unlock that potential. But it's like, and numbers never tell the whole story. But this is why, because they said last year he was statistically the worst offensive player, the
Yeah,
worst. Like, in order to have it's not an accomplishment. In order to have a title like that, you would think, like, how does is this dude gonna have a job next year? Like, you would think that. But he's comfortably playing 30 minutes a game, starting without even thinking. He doesn't even look at the board and say, "Oh, am I starting today?" He know he's starting.
Aaron
Get
S says,
get
"Yeah,
Monte
I don't."
Morris back here, man. Yeah, I missed the last. What did he say? What is the last one he said?
Aaron, Aaron S says, "Yeah, I don't see why we don't just give all his minutes to Sasser. Sasser is a good defender and way better offensively." Um,
Trade
I'm gonna
value
read
up.
one
Yeah.
more. I'm gonna
Yeah.
read one more from Aaron, and then I got a question for you, Foster. I'm
Yeah.
fully convinced we are just trying to get his trade value up one last time, but it isn't
It's
working.
it's 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 working opposite for us right now. It's
Yeah.
it's it's a it's an indirect tank what we're doing.
Foster, what was the statement that Monty Williams said about playing um, his rookies a lot of minutes or something like that? You would be doing them
Um
a disservice?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the injuries are playing a big part of it too. Um
Mhm.
but yeah, it was something to the relation of, we do ourselves a disservice by playing too many young guys together.
Yeah.
It's to the point where
Hold that
Killian isn't even young to me because he's in his third year. He's damn near a vet. But go ahead, go.
hold that thought. So, that's kind of a crazy, crazy philosophy. Although I understand the sentiment about the young players, but you have a predominantly young team. You know, I think uh I think it would be your oldest player is Monty Morris or Joe
Well, no,
Harris.
Burks. I think it's Burks because Burks has
It
been
might,
in the league for 13 years,
so it would be Burks, without a doubt.
I believe.
Without a doubt, it's Burks.
Yeah,
But outside of that, I don't think you have a player that's got more than 10 years in. I think everybody is, uh,
four or
you
five or
know,
less.
5 or less, maybe 6 or less. But uh, when you have those, you can't protect the young players. Uh, he says bogey.
It
Maybe
could be. It could be
could be
because
bogey.
He probably played overseas a while before he came to the. He's been old as
Well,
long as I remember.
in our defense,
Old, old. I
we
mean, yeah.
we forgot he's playing. We forgot he's on the team. He hasn't played. So I don't think he's an option to consider putting having him more minutes for him, being an elder player because like we haven't seen. I saw him warming up a couple games ago. Get in the lineup, Bogey.
Man,
Like I feel like he's a piece that we need to be that much better. You put him at the power forward position, and then you just play your game. Uh, that rotation gets one person deeper uh, if you got Bogey on the floor, and it probably could take away minutes. Have a trickle effect, and take away minutes from certain players that are not producing. I'll take it anytime. Aaron says, "Ha ha, me too. We needed him for a pick or something."
see, that's the guy that we need to boost the trade value up enough to. That's somebody that
Mhm.
can actually improve his trade value. Because right now I think it's probably lower than it's been his whole Piston career because it's like he missed the last 20 games of the year for an injury, and we figured, tank. And that
Yeah.
same injury is holding him out at the beginning of this year. He's been off for months.
Mm, it's crazy.
It really is.
It's crazy. So, we have to turn it around, and I don't want this Pistons team to be 2-15 before
Yes.
we see because
Yes. I don't want him to
we
get too
start.
far behind before we really get to see a nearly full strength team. That's the disheartening part about losing to the Trailblazers. That's a game we got to just have. We just got to have games like that, regardless.
Yeah, it's ah. There's so many questions. There's so many question marks, but I think you have a a good core to work with, and you have to start. It's the mentality has a let's start with working on the turnovers. That's something that you can work on. You don't have to wait for anybody to get healthy to work on turnovers. Uh, you get more chances for a shot if you don't turn the ball over as much.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying don't turn the ball over completely. They've had a high amount of turnovers. It can cut them uh, a third of them or half, something. There was one game where we won and we had 15 turnovers at half. You know what I'm
That was the
saying?
Hornets game.
The Hornets, 15 turnovers in the first half, 9 in the second half. You can take that 15 and cut it down to 9 in the first half. And you know what I'm saying? And that's still excessive. But that game's not even that game is a real blowout if you cut those turnovers down.
My philosophy on that is that the only way to improve in that is to, which is going to sound crazy, is to turn the ball over. Like I feel like we're gonna have to. It's just growing pains that comes with us being so young, and we are just gonna have to get it out of our system by learning what works and what doesn't work. I think that that's what I think that that's just how it's going to be. I don't think that it's going to get any better until our veteran guys come in there and show and prove what it's like. Like even Bogey is a pretty decent creator of offense on his own to be obviously not a point guard, but I do see it improving with guys like him and Mane Morris, who has a staggering amount of staggering turnover to assist ratio. Like I think that seeing those guys actually on the court practicing, I don't know how much these guys have even practiced with the young guys, but I think that that's going to do wonders. I just hope that we're not just so far behind by the time they get back that we don't even get an opportunity to fully flourish under the philosophy that Monty Williams is trying to incorporate, because I don't think that he at right now I don't even think he has the personnel in order to fully uh act on what his philosophy, basketball philosophy is. Can't sit young guys when there's no veterans out there. Burks is hurt, Bogey, Morris. The Harris is the only guy with any type of age out there.
Yeah.
And he's just not at this point in his career. He's just not a guy that you want to see out there for 25 minutes. It just won't make sense.
Now, I got some good news and some bad news, Foster. No, I got some good news and I have a prediction, right? So there's no Lions football this weekend. However, the Pistons are playing at 3 o'clock. So the Pistons also are playing the Phoenix Suns. Now, my bold prediction is watch Booker and Beal play Sunday. Just watch them play against. They haven't played
Booker,
together
no
all
Booker.
year.
So Yeah, yeah, right. Well, Booker is back finally because I was gonna. I'm like, hey, y'all just gonna leave Durant just out to dry. But
I knew they were going like I knew at least Booker was going to be back for the Pistons game. What's the deal on Beal?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it too much, but he kicking it.
I
He
wouldn't be
seem in good spirits to me.
I
I
wouldn't
don't
be
know.
surprised if both of them showed up Sunday to play, and that with them both on the floor, that's another tough game.
Yeah, they just like playing Pistons on Sundays, I guess.
Man, we'll see. Like our next show, we'll just try to remember if we if if those two played versus the Pistons. Like right now, it would be a good time for them to not have to play. They're still a decent team without those two. They're just probably going to be a better team with those two on the floor, without a doubt. Uh, he has back spasms.
That sounds like cap, but just
And
yeah, yeah.
hey, Aaron says Beal,
Just for
Durant,
us.
and Booker will drop 30 on us, no doubt, just for us. And that's the feeling I got. Like they'll be back Sunday playing against the Pistons, and they will look like an all-world team. That's the luck. That's the luck of the draw that we've been getting as a Pistons fan this year.
Them back
And
spasms gonna clear it up.
man, he gonna have some tough acting, tenacting, and get out there and just be balling. Like
Wear us out and then go sit some more. Like, all right, all
they
right,
ain't
all
gonna
right, all
sit
right.
down the next game
I see y'all
against
in April.
yeah, sit down against a good team like the Lakers or something. You know what I'm saying? But play against us. That's just
He's done it once. They've already played the Lakers. They played the Spurs twice and lost twice.
they, on that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out uh, and checking us out. Aaron, Gabe, I appreciate your engagement. Check us out. Um, if you're interested in Lions football, we have a show every Monday night, 7 o'clock. Same channel, Motor City Metrics, but we'll be doing what we call our Bleacher Speakers podcast, and that's on the Detroit Lions. And you can catch us here with the post game podcast once a week on Motor City Metrics on YouTube. And you can also, if you missed our show, follow us on Spotify, uh, post game podcast. Follow us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Just follow us, and when that episode drops, have your alerts on, and you'll be able to check us out. If you miss us here on Motor City Metrics, or driving in the car, or you're cleaning the house, or watching another game or something like that, and you want to hear a podcast, check us out, man. Download that podcast on Spotify or whatever podcast, whatever streaming platform you want to use. You can just check us out. Post Game Podcast, FFSN. Type that in the search. You'll find me and Foster. Um, Also, same thing for Bleachers and Speakers. When we talk about the Lions, you can do the same thing. We're easy to find, just two different names, two different platforms. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron says, great show. Peace, man. You have a great weekend. Be blessed. Be safe, man. And Foster, do you have anything before we get out of here?
Oh, just weather the storm. Weather the storm.
Weather the storm, and we are in a storm. But even when we're in the storm, we still have that.
Detroit basketball.
It's always gonna be that. We're gonna have that spirit, that Mason in the morning yelling Detroit basketball type of feeling. We're
Does
gonna
he
be all
still do
right.
radio?
I think he still announces the games.
Well, I
Not
know he
sure if
does
he's
the game, but yeah,
I think he does. I think it's 92.3.
I don't really watch
Don't
much radio. I
quote me
just
on that. Don't
yeah.
quote me on that. I'll find out though, because I used to listen to him every morning a few years back, and it helped me get through my morning. I had a job where I hated it, but Mason in the morning helped me get through those days. So, but thank everybody for coming out. We'll be back here next week at some time. At some point, we'll have a set schedule for this show. But I guarantee you it's once a week. If you turn your alerts on though, on YouTube and
That bell.
Spotify, you won't miss a show. Because we do a preview. YouTube, but I give you a preview when I select the show, when I actually post what time we're going to do the show, so you'll be able to see it on your alert. So if you hit that bell on the YouTube when you subscribe, you'll see us pop up. And same thing for if you follow us on the streaming platforms, you won't miss a show. All right, Foster, we're out of here, man. I want you to have a good weekend too, bro. Question. Are you getting out Sunday? You
Am
know
I
what the
getting
event is.
out Sunday? Well, I'm always in traffic, but what's the deal?
Star Wars.
Oh, nah, probably not.
Just checking, man. Just checking.
Probably not.
See y'all.